I believe I'm live. What's going on? How are we doing today? How's it going today, y'all? Thank y'all. I am live again. Appreciate everybody coming in. Thank you very much, everyone. Hit that notification, y'all, because I'm live now. I want to talk about this eclipse a little bit. And the reason why I'm live early, because there's a lot of channels that go live later on. And I don't want to interfere with all them channels. Can y'all hear me? Hello, Daryl Calhoun. How are you doing? Where is the host? I'm right here, man. What's going on? Good to see you, sir. Thank you. Brian Forrester, live in Egypt. Ancient Mysteries in Egypt. Hello, Miss Southern Belle. How are you doing, ma'am? Good to have you. Thank you for that super chat. Long time now. I was watching you last week, I believe, in the dollar store. Thank you, ma'am, for that awesome super chat, Miss Southern Belle. I hope you can hear me. Appreciate that super chat, y'all. Let me get back to my thing over here. Miss Southern Belle, thank you. Really mean it. I do. Thank you. Thank you. Today. Hello, Curious Georgia. Thank you, Miss Southern Belle. It helps my channel. It does. When it comes to these membership mugs and all that, I got some new mugs in today. I like the mug, but they're not putting my logo on there in color like I like it. Yeah, I got a new mug today, y'all. Become a member. You might get mugged, you know. You might. Y'all become a member of my channel, y'all. Thank you, Miss Southern Belle. Are you still in the chat? Yes, you are. Thank you. Let me turn you blue. I don't know how unprepared I am today, but I am a little unprepared. I just want to talk about the April 8 eclipse a little bit. I'll play a couple videos into the live stream a little bit. You might learn something in case you've never heard of these things. So, yeah, let me go ahead and check the chat out and make sure everybody is here. These videos I'll play later on, they're from other channels here on YouTube. Surrender to Christ, Rebecca, hello. Curious Georgia, hello, how are you? Thank you so much for coming in here. That's not playing the song I wanted. All right. Yeah. Julie Parker, hello and welcome in. Good morning, everyone. Susanna. How are you doing, Susanna? AAP Homestead. How are you doing, man? What's going on? Good to see you, sir. Brave person. Hello. I wish everybody was a brave person, y'all. We might not have all these problems in our country, you know? People to stand up for what's right. And hello, Courtbug. I finally see you. How are you? It's Super Thursday. Thank you. Hello, Dave Messenger. Found you alive, Dave. Yes, I am still alive and well. Good day and blessings. Yeah, I am still alive, y'all. Miss Southern Belle, you made it to see me live, that's for sure. And I appreciate that super chat for sure. Thank you, ma'am. Hello, Teacher Chrissy. How are you doing, Teacher Chrissy? A lot of people's talked about all this when it comes to this eclipse, okay? Let me show you the path. I'm not going to talk about all the names of Nineveh and Salem. Most people's heard all that, which it'll probably play out in a couple of these videos. Yeah, let's make your screen. But possibilities, when it comes to this eclipse, y'all. Thank you for running that link. If y'all don't have Miss Southern Belle, thank you, Daryl Calhoun. Go to Miss Southern Belle, y'all. Check her out. Darren Ortiz, what is going on? Yeah, what's going on, man? Hey, appreciate you coming in. Thank you. Nice mug, Court Bug. Thank you. Yeah, I got the new mug, y'all. It's not exactly the way I like it. Sorry about that, y'all. I keep talking about my mugs. Hello, P is lurking. Appreciate you lurking, my friend. You can put something in the comments. I'm going to ask you all, what's going to come about from this great American solar eclipse? Later on in the stream. This is open forum for everyone. If anybody wants to come up, you're welcome to come up. I might put the link in the chat. If you have any new scenarios or possibilities, something could happen, what this is about, all these people gathering and all this going on. Hundreds of thousands of people, I don't have all the answers and nobody does. Who really knows? Only God knows. Only God really knows the truth. What's the purpose of all this, We're told to watch the sun, the moon, the stars in the end days and all this, We'll definitely be watching, this great American eclipse, y'all. That's for sure. Hello, Mama Rage is good. Dave, my friend. Thank you. Adam True Finders, Super Dave Legend. Pop in before I go to work. Hope all is well and everyone is good. Stay cool. Stay cool, man. Let me go ahead and turn you blue. Adam True Finders. Appreciate it, man. Let's get on with the program. Hello, Rooster Cogburn. Nothing will happen. Well, I hope you're right. I hope you're really right, because who knows what the great plans are, when it comes to this World Economic Forum and the WHO, the World Health Organization. Do you know the World Health Organization? All they have to declare is a world emergency. Our government will mean nothing. And they just take over and they have it in declarations and things that it's going to be this way, it's going to be that way. And that's the way they think it's going to be. So hopefully nothing will happen. Hopefully. Sometimes even if you stand up for what's right, people are going to believe what they want. Exactly. People are going to believe what they want, what they've been conditioned to believe. They really will. I believe the eclipse could be a warning from God that America is about to come to an end, because in the Bible, that X stands for the end. AAP, thank you. Hello, poor dirt farmer, man. How are you? How you doing, my friend? Thank you for coming over and hitting that thumbs up, man. Mama Rage's Rooster Cogburn. If the government is warning about something, you can beg it is nothing, and they just don't want people to enjoy life. You think so? Yeah, the government. Why are they bringing in these biological labs and people, teams? Why are they bringing in for this eclipse? I mean, just an eclipse? Why do we need the National Guard and the military and people like that? I mean, why? Because just hundreds of thousands of people will be gathering? Well, there's many scenarios about this great American eclipse. Um, Anything is very possible. Thank you for coming in, Rooster Cogburn. I mean, all your opinions are richly welcome. I thank you. But as I say, I'll be showing a couple videos. And I want people to party like it's 1999. These crooked politicians. If y'all don't watch a lot of these channels, it's good to be informed. I watch channels that inform me too. Now, a lot of people here, I watch your channels, whether it be small or large. Yeah, the path of this solar eclipse. I need to get on with it, y'all. There's all kind of names. Rapture, Indiana. Is this a coincidence? Nothing anymore is really a coincidence, y'all. Nothing. And like I say, I just want to play a couple videos and get your opinion, because your opinion is welcome here. Hopefully nothing will happen, my friends. Hopefully nothing will. Yeah. I want to play this guy here. Patrick Humphrey. If you don't listen to him, all you got to do is look him up. Daryl Calhoun, you might want to drop the link, my friend. This guy is a prepper. And I'm going to play up low, play the speed a little bit faster. And that way we can get the gist of the message, and not take as long. But this is full of information. It really is. In case you don't know, I'm going to go ahead and play and let this guy explain. There was many earthquakes in the past when it came to these eclipses. Okay? Let me go ahead and just get this playing and get the show on the road. Patrick Humphrey. He does his homework right here on YouTube.
All right, guys, something big is going on. They are getting prepared for something big. And I think I might have figured out potentially what they are getting prepared for. All right, this is a prediction of what could happen. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but based on history and based on events that have happened in our country before, these have been some of the biggest events that have ever happened, biggest earthquakes that have ever happened inside of our country. Happened during a very similar time like this, where we saw very similar solar eclipses passing over almost the same region, creating a similar pattern. And soon after that, for a year after that, there were the biggest earthquakes that we've seen in U.S. history, right? So this could be what we're going to see. And I want to break down all the evidence and my speculations here. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but this seems like this is what they're preparing for. All right. And things are so bad. This is what they're saying on the Jackson County, Missouri website. If this situation happen again, these megaquakes happen again, and the location of this, everything, it's very suspicious. If these megaquakes happen again, this is what they're saying on the Jackson County, Missouri website. Today, a rupture of the New Madrid Fault on the magnitude of the 1811 and 1812 earthquakes could leave parts of St. Louis and Memphis, Tennessee uninhabitable. That's what they're warning of right now. And they're extremely worried, it seems like, about the New Madrid fault line. All right. So if you've never heard of that, there is actually a seismic fault line inside of Missouri Okay, it's kind of one of these places you don't really think about it. But there is a major fault line inside of Missouri, and these earthquakes that happened in 1811 and 1812 came right after these two solar eclipses that crossed the country in a very similar path. And these were devastating, and these were some of the biggest ones that we've seen in our country's history. So I want you to look at this current map of the current solar eclipse that's going to be passing on April 8th, 2024. All right, this is the current path crossed with the path that was exactly 7 years ago in 2017 of the previous path of the solar eclipse as well that happened in 2017. All right, so these two paths are intersecting and crossing, and right under the intersect is the New Madrid fault line in Missouri. Okay, and this fault line is responsible for some of the most devastating earthquakes in our history, and it wiped out entire towns. It caused the Mississippi River to run backwards. This is serious, and it caused the creation of a major lake called Reelfoot Lake. And this could be why we are seeing all these executive orders being signed, all these emergencies being declared. They're declaring disaster declarations in all these places like Texas and all these different states. Ohio, the governor just signed an executive order for this emergency, right? And they're talking about they need to protect the safety and well-being of their people, right? So this is very serious. They're declaring disaster declarations. They are deploying National Guard. So they are being prepared for something big, right? And I'm not saying this is going to happen, but they're saying geological experts predict that there is a 7 to 10% chance of seeing a duplication of the 1811 and 1812 earthquakes from the New Madrid fault line. There's a 10% chance in the next 50 years, right? And there was a very similar solar eclipse pattern in the years 1811 and 1806, right? So it says on June 16th, 1806 is when the first solar eclipse occurred, and the second one, completing the X, on September 17th, 1811 occurred. It says the intersection happened over the New Madrid fault area, which includes areas from Cairo in southern Illinois to nearby New Madrid, Missouri, right? It says on December 18th, or December 16th, 1811, just 3 months after the second solar eclipse, a series of devastating earthquakes struck along the New Madrid fault line. The following quote comes from the New Madrid, Missouri website. Quote, "The New Madrid earthquakes were the biggest earthquakes in American history. They occurred in the central Mississippi Valley, but were felt as far away as New York City, Boston, Montreal."
History sometimes happens to repeat itself. I'm not putting this out there for fear porn or anything. This is actual things that happen. Earthquakes, 8.8 magnitude earthquake. These regions in the past, when this happened, 1811 and 1812, was not very populated. Today, we live in a populated United States. Memphis, Tennessee, you name it, all around this area will be affected if anything like this ever happens again. Let me go ahead and finish playing this. There's a lot of good information in here.
In Washington, D.C., President James Madison and his wife Dolly felt them in the White House. Church bells rang in Boston from December 16th, 1811 through March 1812. There were over 2,000 earthquakes in the central Midwest and between 6,000 to 10,000 earthquakes in the Bootheel of Missouri, where the New Madrid fault line is located, near the junction of the Ohio and Mississippi rivers, right? It says, in the known history of the world, no other earthquakes have lasted so long or produced so much evidence of damage as the New Madrid earthquakes, right? It says 3 of the earthquakes are on the list as America's top earthquakes. The first one on December 16th, 1811, with a magnitude of 8.1. The second on January 23rd, 1812, of 7.8. And the third on February 7th, 1812, measured at 8.8. 8.8. And that's why they're warning on this website, this county, Jackson County, Missouri website, that it would make St. Louis and Memphis, Tennessee uninhabitable if these earthquakes hit. All right, so this is big. This is big, and we could see something like this reoccur. And it might not happen right away. It could happen right away, but it might take months for this to play out. Because when there's even evidence of this, there's studies of this when, and it makes sense, think about it. The moon controls our tides. It moves all the water around, all around the earth, moves around just the moon alone. So now the moon and the sun and the earth are all aligned. So the gravitational pull is all going to be in one spot for the water and for the earth. Okay. And there's also tons of water inside the earth as well. Think about all the deep underground aquifers. There are entire underground lakes, rivers, all these things that are deep underground. And these are going to be affected as well. The water inside of them are going to be moved and shifted. And the earth itself, the crust itself, could be affected by these gravitational pulls and be altered, be disturbed, right? And I was reporting on just recently how they're getting prepared for a major earthquake in Alaska. They were simulating the U.S. military and the National Guard a 9.2 earthquake in Alaska, which could cause cascading events down the west coast belts of the United States, right? So this is huge. And there's a lot of other strange things going on as well. When there was all these tornadoes and storms going on in Ohio, right? Devastating what's going on there. It's major disaster, right? Mass casualty event, all the stuff that's going on there. Very devastating, the tornadoes and the weather that has wiped out parts of Ohio. And when you look at a lightning map, when these things were happening, there was a giant lightning map of stretching out, spanning where this eclipse would be, the path of the eclipse, as well as spanning over multiple states where lightning was striking. All right, so something's going on. Something's going on. And these elites and these very old school families that have been around a long time, that have a lot of power, control a lot of the, pull a lot of the strings, all right? They know about these cycles. They know about these disaster cycles and these events. And this could be part of the reason why they're so reckless and destructive, is because they know that they might not be held accountable, because we could be entering a major disaster cycle where all this stuff's not going to really matter anymore. All right, if the grid gets wiped out, if there's a major coronal mass ejection, all right, fries the grid, if our atmosphere is weakened, which is happening right now, right, it's weakening at an accelerated rate, then all these things don't really matter, right? And this could be part of these cycles that happen every few hundred years, 500 years, 1,000 years. And before, they didn't really affect people much because there were no electronics, there weren't as many people, and it might have been written off as something else. It was just, who knows, right? But they could know about these cycles and could be hiding what's really coming next as well, right? So this is also very suspicious of the pathway, of the name of all the places that are going to be in the pathway of this eclipse as well. Something that I thought was strange is that there are multiple cities.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to play a little bit of JWTV here in a little bit, because there's all kinds of scenarios out there when it comes to this solar eclipse, April the 8th. Here's an article here. All you got to do is Google it. The earthquakes of 1811 and 1812. This was a little small amount of time. It played out, over time of the eclipse back in that time. Yeah. As you see over here to the right, there's a map. Like I was saying earlier, these areas back in that time were not really populated. So it wasn't a mass casualty event. The force of these eclipses, what they say, gravity or whatever. I don't know if, the truther community believes in gravity or whatever. The oceans are controlled, somewhat by the moon. Patrick Humphrey talked about water, aquifers, and the water that's under, our feet down in the ground. I have a well a couple 100 feet deep. There's water. If there were major earthquakes, just imagine the mountains that would be moved, the waters that would burst from the grounds. If the Mississippi ran backwards for an amount of time, a powerful earthquake today, we don't know what would happen. But there would be water coming up from the ground in different areas. Like I say, mountains would move. Populations would be devastated. The power grid, the internet, a lot of these things would be devastated. So yeah, this article, you can Google it. It's right here on Google about the earthquakes. I don't know if I want to read this because it's quite lengthy. We mentioned, the earthquakes. The magnitude of these series of earthquakes, usually named the New Madrid, Missouri earthquakes, vary considerably between the MB and MS values estimated. The MB was estimated from these maps, and the MS was estimated from a spectral scaling relation for mid-plate earthquakes. We get these small tremors, these earthquakes, they would reverberate throughout the southeast. They wouldn't stay, just in one area. They talk about the difference between these earthquakes, like in California and Alaska. A lot of them are deep and they don't reverberate. They don't cause, like a, what would you call it? A reaction to, to go across the land very wide is what I'm trying to say. The first earthquake caused by only slight damage to man-made structures. This was in 1811, mainly because of the sparse population in these areas. The extent of the area that experienced damaging earth motion, because these are plates, these are like pieces of land put together like a puzzle. A lot of people don't really understand. I mean, it's not just one piece of land. We're put together like a puzzle. At the offset of the earthquake, the ground rose and fell, bending the trees until their branches intertwined and opening deep cracks in the ground. Landslides swept down the steeper bluffs and hillsides. Just imagine if we had an 8.8 in that area where the eclipse, X marks the spot. Landslides, hillsides, land moving, water bursting out of the ground. This would be widespread. An 8.8 is something we've never seen in our lifetime. Matter of fact, a lot of us have never really seen an earthquake. Seemed like I remember one in elementary school here in South Carolina. There was like a 2.9, I believe. And it was just a small vibration, a tremor. The window rattled or something, Seemed like I remember that. But the ground was not moving. The ground would move all across many states if something like this reoccurs again. And we are due for one, They say there's like a 10% chance that we could have this earthquake like this again within the next 50 years. And you go longer, it's higher, 30, 40% chance in the next 200 years. I've done a little bit of my reading and homework on this. Huge waves on the Mississippi River overwhelmed many boats and washed others high on the shore. Yeah, I remember seeing a video about this. The Mississippi River was not turning hot, but it was like it was boiling. The water was just like waves and, it was just all over. It was unsettled water in the Mississippi River. Even something like this, if it reverberated across the land and hit the ocean or whatever, Could it cause a tsunami? Many possibilities, y'all. And still larger areas sank and were covered with water that emerged through fissures. Huge waves on the Mississippi overwhelmed many boats. I read that. The region most seriously affected was characterized by raised or sunken lands. There's a lake that was formed. That probably means it buried, some land and all that. Let's go to the chat a little bit. So, appreciate y'all coming in. Thank y'all for that super chat and everything, y'all, Miss Southern Belle. Let me take a break from reading and make sure everybody in the chat is named and everything. I appreciate it, y'all. I really do. Thank you. Hello, James Gipe. Appreciate the thumbs up, man. Thank you. If y'all don't know, James Gipe has probably got 60,000 something subscribers. Let me check. 65,000. You're doing awesome, man. I don't know what your goal is, but you're getting there. Appreciate y'all coming in. All right. This April 8 eclipse. If history repeats itself, we could have earthquakes. Be prepared, y'all. Have clean water, have some food, They talk about, help reaching you and all that within 72 hours and all that. Help may never reach you for weeks and weeks. So you can't depend on first responders actually reaching you. You know what I'm saying, y'all? Depend on yourself, because this inept government, who knows? Who knows? I won't talk a lot about the government. Hello, Rage Against the Machine. Appreciate you coming in, man. That was Patrick Humphrey. He talked about these earthquakes. There's people out there that do their homework and all, All you got to do is Google it. 1811, 1812. In 1811, December the 16th, 1811, there was an 8.1 magnitude earthquake. In 1812, January 23rd, there was a 7.8 magnitude earthquake. This was after the eclipse. February 7, 1812, there was an 8.8 magnitude earthquake. That is huge. Right where X around that area marks the spot. As y'all know, I work a lot, y'all. As far as doing my homework, it's limited. I'm sorry. I've heard a lot of people talk about Salem, 7 cities. I'm going to go to something else here in a little bit. I'm going to propose a couple questions, not very many. Everyone's here. Welcome to put in the chat, what you think, what you believe. I mean, is this all connected to something else, Major events that could occur. No fear porn. Other channels out here talking about it. Like I say, my research is limited. I'm tired. I don't have the time. I work a lot. I'm sorry. I want to do live streams all the time. If I could sit here and do live streams and make a living on it, I wouldn't even go to work. But it's all good, y'all. 2,000 earthquakes occurred after this eclipse back in that time of 1811. 2,000 tremors and earthquakes. But the ones that were major was on the New Madrid fault line. 8.8. Imagine that. I can't imagine that. With the population and the things that are in place, the electricity and all that. Back then, they didn't have the wiring and stuff. They didn't have water running that would burst and gas lines. it wouldn't just be limited to water, coming from the Mississippi and spilling over or busting from the ground from fizzers. It would be natural gas pipelines. It would be your city water pipelines. A lot of these things would burst and it'd be major disasters. It really would be. Cool Lights, I thank you. Thank you. I don't know where everybody's going, but I appreciate it. I got a little bit more to play. I'm not going to be live all that long. There's good information out here. Don't know if you know. Let me go ahead. I want to put another possibility out there. That's why I say everyone, your opinion is welcome. If you think we could have a nuclear war or be attacked by Russia or China or attacked by even the migrants, think of all these hundreds of thousands of people that are gathering where this eclipse is going to be. They're bringing these migrants in. Ready, set, go. I mean, I'm just thinking outside the box. All right, I wanted to play a little bit of this, maybe play a lot of it. Because this guy, he's pretty smart. I've been watching him from the beginning, way back when he had like 1,500 subscribers. He's grown fast. He's in touch with a sheriff, and he's been putting out videos. This sheriff has been giving him information and call him. Who knows who the sheriff is? I do know this guy is from Mississippi. So, yeah, he said these sheriffs had this meeting with Homeland Security and all that. We need to talk about this stuff, y'all. I mean, we really do. I don't know how it got like this. But, yeah, let me go ahead and see if I can get this to play for us. In case you don't watch JWTV, look him up. He'll come out with another video in the next day or two. So, yeah, we need to talk about all this because we need to prepare. We don't know what's going to happen. If you need to buy a gas mask, you better order one now or go somewhere where they sell them, whatever, because anything is possible. And I like JW. He was on this one channel, our friends here on YouTube, like a few years ago that I used to watch a lot. Let me see if I can get him to play. But my computer had a mind of its own. For some reason, it keeps jumping up a little bit. All right, let's get him to play.
The sheriff called me yesterday, and after he got done telling me everything inside this meeting that was happening, I pretty much was nerve rattled after what I heard. But I'm going to tell you what the emergency, what's behind this emergency for the solar eclipse, what's the deeper intel, and not only that, how they want emergency communication systems to be implemented, what specific groups they're going to be targeting. We're about to get into all that right here.
I have no reason to doubt anything about JW TV. This guy's name is Steven. I do know that. I've been watching him long enough for years. He talks about where they don't even want us, the people, to communicate. The people, that is us, to communicate, not wanting us to communicate. All this includes Department of Homeland Security, the National Guard, even these bio people, from the CDC and all that. There's a reason. So let's listen to him closely, y'all. Do that for me, please. Be aware, be prepared, because anything can happen. And we know, I'm going to let it play in a minute. Deagle.com. They came out with this depopulation, The Georgia Guidestones, I feel like our own government took it down. I've never said that here on YouTube. I feel like because people were catching on. They were catching on to what the first thing says, depopulate down 500 million. This could be part of the plan, April 8th, Eclipse. Listen closely, please. Please. This is very important, y'all.
And information that I did separate research to try to link up and confirm more on this scenario. So he gets on the phone with me yesterday after they have this meeting. Who's this meeting with? It's with Homeland Security. So, and he said there were New York instructors there. I have a list right here. I took notes of every single thing that he said because I couldn't record his voice. Obviously, he's trying to stay discreet. He said they were focusing on anti-vaccine people, anti-government people, preppers, Trump supporters. He even goes into deeper in the scenario what we're going to get to here in a second. But he said they didn't want the public to have any communication between each other. Any communication at all. And we told you yesterday that sheriff, they came on and said it could be a potential terror attack. Well, we got more intel on what could actually happen in the solar eclipse, but just listen to this 23-second clip really quick.
But that's not all that he's concerned about.
That people want to do us harm. Use an event like this where a lot of people are gathered to do some type of terror event.
The director of the Lake County Emergency Management Agency told me they've been preparing for the solar eclipse now for about 2 years.
They've been preparing for this for 2 years. Imagine that, for 2 years. That sounds like a lot of preparation going into that. And in the video yesterday, I told you the military is getting into a building that they won an Allied war in World War II, which is Idabel, which you can find that video after this video. But let's get into this right now. So they don't want any communications between us. And what is the big event that they're doing? This is what he told me inside of Homeland Security yesterday they were talking about. He said, during the solar eclipse, while people are all out there looking, they're planning, the intel they've got is a possible biological attack on people while the solar eclipse is freaking happening. Yes.
That brings me to the question, if there's a biological attack, while the solar eclipse is happening, these people will be wearing glasses. They won't really see or be looking for anything else but the solar eclipse while it's happening. I'm going to save the one question that I proposed for last. But think about it. How would they do this? In canisters, in backpacks, from the sky? Just something I've been thinking about. Would they have these little jet systems set up that people can't see or don't know where they're at, like maybe like on cell towers or whatever? I don't know. I'm thinking, how would they do this? But anyway, it's very possible because they have the technology, bioweapons. It could be Ebola. It could be the new COVID. It could be the flu. I felt like I was attacked by a flu, myself here a few weeks ago because it didn't feel like the flu itself. But anyway, he talks about the zombie deer disease. See, they could have this already completed. Look, this is not just porn fear. Anything is possible when it comes to, I used to hear Rush Limbaugh say, it's kind of connected, but not. And it is that a president can do damage, a lot of damage, before they actually are voted or leave office. You know what I'm saying? Which I presented a few weeks ago, that our government is not being run by who we think it is. A lot of people think Biden and the administration is running this country, when in fact, it's nefarious people that so far, I don't know if we've identified or not. It could be the Chinese or somebody running our country. This could be part of their plan. This guy has information from a sheriff that was in these meetings, and I'm going to play it. And I'm going to play part 2 here in a minute.
Yes, I just said that while the solar eclipse is happening. And you're like, okay, well, where are they going to do that? Well, all the people out for the solar eclipse, I'm potentially believing could be targets. Okay, so this is not speculation. This is totally inside information about what they said. And they're talking about how the first responders' mental health, they need to prepare because their mental health is going to be very, very, out of whack after this. So when he told me that they potentially might be doing,
and this is inside information. I don't even know how this video is staying up. I don't know that first responders will be affected by their mental health. If you're going to this April 8th eclipse, I'd advise you might want to stay far away from where thousands of people are gathered, okay?
doing a biological attack. That's the intel. Who's going to be doing it? I don't know. But however, I looked deeper, and then I seen that 3 weeks ago, none of us was paying attention to the fact that the FBI just had a training drill for a biological attack, and they're getting hospitals ready for it. So I want you to look at this video clip real quick and just look at what we all missed and how this lines up with the agenda.
Staff at multiple local hospitals are now better prepared to handle a potential emergency. The FBI spent time in 3 ERs today in our area, walking doctors, nurses, and other staff through what they could do in case of a bioterrorism disaster. 11 News reporter Elmer Mejia Segastumi is joining me live from Penrose Hospital, one of the locations that participated. An agent with the FBI told you that disasters like these help improve communications, or disaster exercises, I should say, help improve communication among staff and others.
Adam, a hospital official says that these drills are important in keeping the staff on their toes and prepared. They say the staff hospital does numerous drills throughout the years. It helps them determine what needs the hospital may have depending on the situation. Special Agent David Autry says no drill ever goes 100% perfectly, but they consider every drill a success because it helps them identify the things the FBI and hospitals need to improve on. Hospital officials say the disaster scenario was a toxin put in people's milk. The goal was to monitor how departments and agencies communicated with one another.
There's a need for all of us. There's no one single agency that can handle this alone. Again, we handle that law enforcement investigation, the lead from the federal side, but that includes our state and local partners from law enforcement, it includes public health. When you look at a WMD event, it's going to require all partners to come together.
The FBI and local hospitals say that after these disaster scenario exercises.
Appreciate that super chat. Now, I have so much more to tell you. But please, while we're live right now, while you're watching this, share this out, more importantly, to your friends, to your family, to all the people that's going to be going to this solar eclipse, so we can potentially avert them getting hit with biological materials that is probably going to be dispersed on crowds when this event happens. That's the inside intel, and there's more intel than that we're going to get to right now. Target list, let's talk about how they're telling law enforcement in this meeting with Homeland Security, they're telling them on the population that, hey, look, we need you to enforce information because during the last pandemic, everything got out of hand. We need you to track their cell phones, which they did in the last pandemic. We need you to basically be in control. And why do you think all the communication systems are upgrading? You see all these counties saying, oh, we got to upgrade the communication systems. And then you see where they're having all these meetings and stuff like that for the communication systems. So the reason they don't want any communication between us because they said how the public was distrusting all of them, how we distrusted them during the ongoing operations of the first pandemic, because we're not just talking about what's happening in the solar eclipse, we're talking about the potential next plan, which he gets into here and he talks about every single virus they talk about. And when I'm looking here, that's because I got this list. I told you I took notes, I wrote down all this stuff, and he was talking to me on this phone call. So the communication basically is the reason why emergency stuff is coming out right now is because we're not going to have communication with each other. They're going to make sure that he said it's only going to be cell phone communication. Like you're going to get emergency alert. The emergency systems, like I was saying, they're not going to be able to be like, you're going to have your Faraday bag ready because the tracking system, somebody says, thank you, Stephen, appreciate you, no problem. So the emergency systems, you need to get your Faraday bags ready because they're going to be tracking you actively. They're going to be looking into that. They're going to be basically trying as much as possible to get who's on the target list. So the next thing is they talked about a lot of different virus things, virus scenarios. We want to get into that right now. And he was talking about the deer situation, right? The zombie deer thing. He said that was one thing that they said was going to jump to humans. And basically, since that's in a lab somewhere, you already know what's going on with that. They're whipping it up and they're going to try to make something jump. He also said that in this meeting with Homeland Security, they were talking about how they were going to be ready to lock one of their houses. And he gave me this map as well. So the map is pretty much, he said, this is public knowledge right here. And this is basically the map here. So whenever environmental supposedly disasters happen, this is the response in all the states. And they call this apple tree map. Interesting. So moving past that, he said the main things inside this Homeland Security meeting that they talked about, what they were going to need to install certain people for the CDC's interest, meaning politicians as puppets. They talked about Ebola. They talked about COVID, measles, and like I just said, the brain wasting disease. How to map out, this is the part where we get crazy. Obviously, we've got some rain about to come, but we're going to be able to finish this before that happens. Mass casualty. How to map out the population and round up the homeless. So this is another thing they're talking about within these meetings. He's going to have a meeting also coming up. So you want to stay around because Monday I'll be telling you about the next meeting, which martial law is what they're talking about in that one. But they're talking about locking people into their homes. 2, he said that they're going to try to get religious people on board with getting people to get the vax. So basically saying that the churches, the preachers and stuff like that, they're going to go around and they're going to have campaigns to try to push them to get you to trust.
Remember Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab, how they stated the next pandemic will be worse? They're going to try to get religious people, sound like churches, to push the next VAXX. You're right, Ryan in North Carolina, yes. To maintain the population, which the Georgia Guidestones don't say, to take people out and all that, to maintain at 500 million. We're coming to at a crucial time. It's 2024. Before the so-called selection, of the political arena and all these things going on. The year before 2025, like Deagle.com told us. I can't really find it. If I Google it again, that's why I saved a picture about it, where it shows in Deagle.com the population to be dropped. And we know something major is coming. I see it from everybody. I'm not just here fear pointing and saying this. Everybody knows something is coming. Has nothing to do with fear porn. Nothing. Has to do with our lives. if you drop a population down to where they want to drop it down to, suddenly, my God, I mean, 9 out of 10 people, are the people out there going to believe that's the rapture occurring? 9 out of 10 people. I mean, really? But let me go ahead and finish playing. I don't try to put no misinformation out there. All I'm trying to do is use these videos and people out there, whether if I have permission or not, it's out here on YouTube. I figure it's public information, and that's all I'm trying to do. If there's information, say like these earthquakes that occur or could occur, you want to be ready. You want to be prepared. You might not want to be right where you might think it could happen, right in the center, look, it's hard for people to move and all that. I get it. I'm not telling nobody to move or do anything. Information is vital. We need good information. And if any of this stuff is even possible, we need to be prepared. Get a gas mask. Get away from these areas. Don't get into hundreds of thousands of people. You could avert something, putting this information out. Like JWTV. Thank you very much. Could avert what they planning to be like they're on to us, We can't do that. So yeah, that's why I say I'm surprised this video even stayed up. Hang in there long enough. I play part 2.
Then when they pull out this next version of whatever the pandemic is so that you can go and take, you already know what they're going to be pushing. Somebody says, we are real out here, JWTV. Yeah, we are real. And this is all getting real. And I'm telling you this information here extremely. He said this was the composure of Homeland Security. They were extremely worried, he said. Extremely worried. And so the first day was supposed to be an exercise. He said there was no exercise. And also they didn't allow any cell phones in the building because they didn't want anybody recording anything. So all the information here that I'm giving you, you're not going to get it anywhere else. This stuff should be spread out massively. Do you know how many lives could be saved during this event just because we avert this? And we know people are still going to say, well, I'm not going to not go. I'm going to go anyway. But let them do that. But the problem is the people who don't know, if this doesn't get to them, they don't have a chance to basically avert what's coming. And that means that all of us should be prepared and ready if they're going to spread something biological. That's how the first half of this next event begins. Spreading something biological. All these people, hundreds of thousands of people out there, go back home, they go wherever they go, and then from there it just amplifies and spreads. So this information here is so critical, and I'm leaving it on you. I'm leaving the last one of you to choose the choice to get it out to others, because that's all I can do. YouTube is not going to do that. It's really up to you at this point. If you just tuned in the video, you don't know what's going on, you got to watch the full video again. The video yesterday I put out linking to this is really important. You should see, again, the donation link.
Yeah, that was part 1. He'll probably come out with another video in the next couple of days. Let me look at this. All right, we know about the path. And what I want to talk about real quick. Sorry about the dead air, y'all. If I can get this to show us this path of the eclipse. The simple answer would be disturbing. Look at this. I want you to propose this question here. I mentioned it earlier. The simple answer would be disturbing. Millions of invaders across the path and using the eclipse as a coordinated signal plan to say, go. As you can see, these are all migrants that actually do not belong in our country. They're here illegally. I've seen some videos where this man was showing the migrants sitting on street corners, sitting in areas waiting for something. I'm just putting it out there. It's no fear porn. And they could use this event, the eclipse, whether if they say go on the people that's gathered together or whatever. Just something I want to put out there. Because anything is possible. And we know our nefarious government is stealing all the money, sending them, billions to Ukraine is what we told. Investing in these, what you want to call it, these viruses and putting on the people and all this. And they've warned us because they know it's coming for some unknown reason. Yeah, for some unknown reason. What a coincidence. They predicted these even back in 2010. I wanted to find the path again before I end the live stream and talk about it. The first path that came over the U.S. I had it a while ago. Sorry about the delay. Let's see if I can click on this and find something else about it. Just proposing a question is all I want to do. Because Super Dave thinks outside the box a little bit, okay? What's wrong with that? If something nefarious is going on, with the country, with the government, I found evidence, and I can't find it, that this administration is not running things in our country. You got to stay prepared, y'all, in more than one way. You got to put information out there. You got to share videos. You got to share it with your family members, friends. I talked to a 19-year-old guy yesterday at work, trying to wake him up. He's like, man, I never heard of any of this stuff. I'm like, yeah, you need to know this stuff. Look up and see the chemtrails. They're spraying something in our atmosphere. They're not exactly telling, which they tell us what, aluminum, barium, strontium. Who knows what else, other elements and other things that they're actually putting in these chemtrails. I found evidence a couple years ago when I was sitting here doing a live stream that they sprayed stuff in Hawaii over the people. These experiments. That's what they wanted to call it, experiments. They know exactly what they're doing. Sulfur, acid can't be good in the atmosphere. They're just absorbing the oxygen, and they're putting all this stuff in our air, weakening the real oxygen elements. But anyway, let me get to this little map before I play my last part of the video. Look from the west to the east. Hello, Geneva, Cordoba. Look from the west to the east. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Put it in the chat if you are. I want to see if you're thinking what I'm thinking. It has nothing to do with fair porn. Maintain 500,000. Really? Or is it 500 million? Yeah. Whatever it is. Who gives these people the right to maintain anything? Because they're the ones destroying the atmosphere. They're the ones causing a global warming in case there is any type of global warming. It's right above your head, It really is, y'all. Nothing to do with fear porn or anything. If you're thinking anything I'm thinking, right here, don't know if you're thinking what I'm thinking. The Chinese balloon that we was told about. Think about it. Went along pretty close to the same path. I realize maybe not as exactly, but Chinese balloon along this path. And it did. It came down to South Carolina off the coast of Myrtle Beach, where they claim they shot it down. Was this Chinese balloon spraying something? They're not going to tell us. Was it dropping bioweapons? They're not going to tell us. The next pandemic will be greater, and it's coming. They're going to use something to try to depopulate. I still feel like it's still in action. They're not done. It's not over. Be vigilant, be watchful. That's what I was thinking. This Chinese balloon, so-called. How do we even know if it's Chinese? All right, I want to get to the last part here. It might take a few minutes. Hello, Felix the Cat. How are you doing, my friend? The Mad Catter. They've been hinting on measles lately. Yeah, I put a video up about that last week. The measles is spreading among the population of the migrants. And now they're trying to, vaccinate them. And the lady said, well, it's a little too late now. Months and months have occurred and went by. These people's been together in these migrant camps. I don't know if y'all know, these migrant camps, a lot of them go on for miles. Big, huge shelters and tents. I've seen these videos about them. Maybe I'll try to dig it up. And I'm not making it up. They have probably how many people of the migrants. These people are not our friends. If they're bringing them in and telling them, wait till we say go. This is what you do. And somebody else said exactly what I said. When the money runs out, what are these people going to do? I believe all human beings have rights to be free. I get it. And want to come to America. I understand. But these people seems like they're being brought in for nefarious reasons. They're even occupying homes that, people are trying to rent, homes that aren't even, that are vacant. And they call them squatters. They're coming in trying to take over a lot of places, homes, and people can't get them out of there. All right, this is part 2. Insider exposes huge April 8th emergency events that you still need to know.
We're back here live with you because we have gotten in our second call from our source. The sheriff has been our source for at least over 6 months out on the public, but behind scenes, we've been talking longer than that. Now, we've got the other details inside of the Homeland Security meeting that he went to, and we're really about to break down some stuff, and we also need to think about a defense plan. So this is going to be very important. We're going to have all that in here for you. And the first video I told you, anti-government was a target list. Anti-vaccine, preppers, Trump supporters. That was the target list they initiated inside of the meeting. Now, this next part, when I asked him more about the biological scenario, I said, so is there any other things that they said in this meeting, day 2? Day 2, he said, I have my notes here because, again, I have to write down what he says, obviously, for purpose of sensitivity. He said the day after the eclipse, people might be acting animalistic is what they said inside of the Homeland Security meeting. Hence, we get back to the biological attack. He said they might have to get medical attention if people start acting animalistic. So the behavior we're looking for is people acting animalistic post them dispersing whatever the biological scenario is. What's going on, everybody in the chat? I see you here, and I'm so glad you got out that last video. This one's going to be just
the day after the eclipse. sounds like meaning after they spray this biological attack, people will be acting animalistic. Is this that zombie, on the CDC a couple years ago? They had this cartoon and stuff about people would be acting like zombies. Nothing to do with fear porn. Look, they have the capability, they have the technology, they have these bioweapons, they've had them for years. They have these labs, they have it all. They have control.
Just as importantly critical, because we got more stuff he talked about. That's strange though. Acting, I think he also said it could be to do with the biological event, or it could be drugs. But I'm thinking that it's part of the biological event. Now, what else he said? He said that during the solar eclipse, they also said in this Homeland Security meeting, and by the way, this is the meeting I'm talking about right here. Obviously, the dates was from March 14 and 15. I'm giving you information now from him inside of that meeting. Blurred out some of that information he did for sensitive purposes. So check out the next big part of what I'm about to tell you, though. Not only people acting animalistic, but he said during the solar eclipse, they talked about in this meeting, people having seizures and collapsing.
Having seizures and collapsing. That sounds like if they spray or whatever, however they put it out there, it's going to be powerful. What could do that?
The potentiality during the solar eclipse. And I'm like, well, it does sound more like it's biological. I showed you last video, the FBI was going and they were basically saying like, oh, well, it might be something put in somebody's milk. And they were saying like they were doing biological drills in Colorado. So it gets even stranger from there. We're going to go deeper here into all of this scenario for you. What he said next to me was that only when communications go down, they all have to meet at a central location. And they want FEMA to take over and have law enforcement involved. Which my source, he said he don't trust FEMA at all. And I was like, yeah, I don't trust FEMA either. Now, this next part I gotta tell you is really wild, because like you go into thinking about all the predictive programming they showed us. This is what he said. He said more electrical companies. He went out and asked about this. He's seen the electrical companies, just like some of y'all said y'all seen. Their deadline is April 7th. They're up, and he said he talked to contractors. They're upgrading the black tarp, and they're putting wires and all these boxes in and stuff like that.
Has anyone seen people working on the poles? A lot of electric companies and cable companies, we're out on the highway or on cell towers and things work. I mean, does that have anything to do with this? It sounds like, according to JWTV, that it does. We talked about in the past 3 pings that would go out for 1 minute each and all that. I don't know, like the presidential alert, I assumed maybe they could be using it in these warnings and these, things that they put out there. We don't know. I don't know. There could be videos I hear people talk about that we all could watch. A major video go out and it'd have like subliminal messages that could affect, I don't know whether if you took the shot or not, or affect all of us, hidden things within these videos at the tone of different frequencies. Anything's possible, y'all. They have the technology.
Their deadline is April 7th. That lines up before this event perfectly. And another thing that's really important here that I'm about to tell you, that the martial law part. So when we get into the martial law part, you got to listen to this part, because they talk about going door to door, the vaccine and stuff like that, anti-vax people. But it's not just that. And obviously, everybody on the list I mentioned, anti-vaccine, anti-government, prepper, Trump supporter. But when he went into this next part, he said, look, they're going to have some type of a dome that they're going to try to put over populations. Because he said they don't have to use force for martial law. This is what he said. So let's look at the notes I wrote down here. He said they're going to have to set up command centers, and then he said put domes over large populations over multiple areas. I was like,
how would they put domes? I'm not questioning this in a way to say it's not possible. Technology, you know, say invisible fence wiring for your dog in the yard. The dog can't go outside the yard because it's in the ground and he's wearing this collar. That would shock him. So yeah, technology, they have the technology that you, like this, a dome, an invisible dome, that you would not be able to go outside these areas. They could control, you know, these areas along with, and look, when it comes to FEMA and all that, I'm going to go ahead and say something I hesitated to say in the past about Maui. I'm going to say it because I watched these people, and I believe it's very possible that FEMA was pulling people and they were taking them out. That they didn't want these witnesses in Maui to be able to, you know what I'm saying? They have the technology to do. Look, I'm just putting information out there. I don't want to focus on just one or two things. Anything is possible. And this is inside information. Like I say, when it comes to these invisible domes, they can block us in areas using frequencies or anything else, whatever the technology is of today. Yeah, I get a little bit lost, y'all. But I appreciate you watching. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Byron, for that super chat earlier. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I was like, you talking about like a dome over him? Like, you know, a quarantine dome? He was like, yeah. I don't know if he's saying like multiple domes, but he's saying like the technology exists already. I already know it. I looked up multiple different times. And they've showed us in Simpsons predictive programming. They've showed us in a lot of predictive programming in movies that they put a dome for quarantine over a city. The stuff already exists. He said that's what inside this meeting they were freaking talking about. So that sounds like so wild. I know you're like, what? I mean, come on, I can't hide that. But this is somebody who actually went there. In the beginning of the video, I showed you exactly what the meeting was. Also, I'm going to be talking about how hundreds of thousands of people, they're going to be biologically dispersed upon. This is the supposed scenario, which the military has been doing drills and all this stuff with CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear. They're going to be in Oklahoma. Now, check this out. In 2017, you know how we're talking about right now, biological scenario? They put bacteria on the solar eclipse balloons. So what is our potential area that these bacteria, the biological stuff could be coming from? Is definitely the balloons. And we found out information on our own to look into where will these balloons be released. And they have tracking technology on them as well. That's another thing he talked about with communications. He said, during the communication, he said, only during martial law will people not be able to communicate. They will have FEMA wanting to take over. And FEMA, he said, is dealing with all the training right now for law enforcement and everything else in disaster scenarios. He said Starlink will be used for law enforcement, not for the public. So obviously Elon Musk is Starlinks, and he said they're going to be surveillance technology. And during the solar eclipse, they're going to be looking down at you anyway because they already have the balloons that are going to float. And we're going to talk about where they're releasing that, because now people ask me in the video, hey, well, where's it going to be released? How can we prepare for this? I got you. For real, this is going to be like, if you can do the same thing you did in the last video, you can start sharing it out to family, start sharing it out to friends, because we're against an evil, corrupt empire. And the only way we can basically avert the situation is if we get this information out and we continue to expand upon what we did. I mean, this is what I came to do. This is what the mission is. The statement is against the forces trying to weigh us down. Not only weigh us down, bring us down in the health system, bring down the spiritual system. But the information we have right now is so powerful when you get it out just like you did last time. So next informational piece here. So going into this, after all of that I just said, the biological scenarios, we want to go into this right now and what you can do about this and where is it releasing. Check this article out right here where they say Don't panic if you see balloons hovering over America's 2 upcoming solar eclipses. It's a project. NASA is a part of this project, which they're the ones who released the bacteria last time. This time, April 8, 2020.
Don't panic if you see balloons. Really? If we have this information and we know there's a biological attack, very possible, I would be panicking with balloons. And if you was watching 20 minutes ago, I talked about the Chinese balloon that traveled pretty dang close to the path of 2017 eclipse. Why? You know, why? I don't know why. Have they already sprayed something biological? Was it mapping out our nuclear power plants and these nuclear facilities? There's a lot of possibilities out there. Let me see if I can zoom in on this a little bit. The Nationwide Eclipse Ballooning Project is an attempt to take advantage of both the October 14th, 2023 annular solar eclipse and April 8, 2024. Some balloons will live stream video from the stratosphere 100,000 feet up to the NASA Eclipse website using Insta360 and other cameras, while others will monitor for changes in the atmosphere at 115,000 feet. Really? Really? Why?
Solar eclipse. Some balloons will live stream video from the stratosphere 100,000 feet up to NASA Eclipse website using Insta360 cameras, while others will monitor for changes in the atmosphere 115,000 feet. They're monitoring for changes in the atmosphere during the eclipse, obviously because of the effects of the eclipse, but also we don't know if they're going to release it again, release some bacterial, biological stuff from the balloons as well. This is right here, the Nationwide Eclipse Ballooning Project is where this is releasing. If you look on screen right now, we're going to tell you locations released. Maine, Plymouth State University, Goddard Flight Space Center. Where is that at, though? You look on screen right now and you can see exactly where that's at. Most of this is like right in the area where the eclipse is going to be going, just like I told you already. So check this out. How can you prepare? How can you prepare and avert the biological scenario? Because people acting animalistic is just freaking wild. I told you they was talking about the zombie deer disease jumping to humans, Ebola. They're going to be tracking cell phones. And this is their intel on biological attack on the solar eclipse, right? They're not telling you who's going to do it. So they want to lock you in homes with a freaking dome. And these students here don't freaking know what they're getting themselves into. So, like, when you look at this and you see these students, this is all the balloons. This is the project. This is everywhere the balloons are going to be released. You now have insight on that. That was the 2017 eclipse. But you take that and then you flip it the other way. The way it's going now. And they then release it into the atmosphere. There's one thing we know of, though, that averts biological scenarios. So if you have somebody going out there and a lot of you say, hey, I'm just not going to do that, they're shutting down government buildings. They're shutting down schools. They're doing this because this event right here to them is something that on the inside, he said, the sheriff said, they're going to use the confusion of this event as a pinpoint execution plan to do what they need to do. So while if you're confused about anything, that's why I'm trying to clear that up right now. He also said that the whole martial law scenario that they want to implement doesn't mean it's going to happen.
The confusion from this event, if they drop something biologically, bioweapons, chemicals, people going to wonder what's happening, what's going on, cause confusion. If people's dropping out, falling, having seizures, this don't sound good. And I have no reason to doubt JWTV. If you don't have him here on YouTube, you want to get him. Subscribe to him. He's worked hard on this information. He has a sheriff that's giving him inside information from these meetings and all that. I want to speak to my local sheriff and ask him, when I catch him out, I want to ask him, has he heard anything about all this? About, unrest in America or even these migrants, things that could be coming in the future. There's people out there that know, what is coming. And this sounds very real and very possible. And it sounds like a plan, that they want to stick to, and cause mass confusion.
Happen obviously on the eclipse, but that is a potential pinpoint they're looking for. If things go wrong, they're going to try to push it back. But in that scenario where it does go down, let's talk about that. Door-to-door vaccine and stuff like that, looking for those people, looking for the anti-government people and all that stuff. He said it's going to be different this time because he said people are going to be resistant. He said this ain't going to be like the last pandemic or the last scenario. He said people are going to be resistant. He already understands that. I was like, yeah, I mean, in all reality, if they do that, people should be resistant in my eyes. So going into the next part here, the effects following days. We're going to be asking you to put all that in the comments here. Just look at people and see what you're seeing after the solar eclipse, if we even have communications. But if we do, just keep putting all the information below. The next thing I want you to know is if you are out there, which I highly don't recommend, but even if you're not out there and you're just going outside, here's what we should do. Here's what I would do. Because I've seen documents on the military before they go into biological scenarios, and I've seen that the Soviet military have went into biological scenarios and they've tested this out over and over again. And I've done this myself. This actually does work for me. So what I would do in this scenario is that colloidal silver, what the troops would do, they would coat their body in the colloidal silver. They would coat all their skin in colloidal silver. And obviously it's going to hit your hair too, probably. I don't know if you should put it in your hair, but I'm just saying all the skin areas is where you should put it. And then you got to think about the nasal passage as well. Because colloidal silver is something that is used against biological warfare. And if we're to avert any of this, even by some percentage, that's going to be a huge mechanism before you, even just for that day in general. Like, I'm going to do it myself just because we don't know how far it's going to spread, because the people that's going to get hit by it are going to be the biocarriers in this scenario. So you think in 2017 they released bacteria during their solar eclipse, and you think it's not going to happen in another? That was probably just a test phase for what they're planning to do next. Wouldn't you think that would be a test phase? But I just think we have much more power, much more ability, and much more of a sound mind right now to understand how much this is. And on that day, we need a global prayer. We need people to pray against the dark forces. We also need to be prepared for these events. We need to have our community ready, the people that's deep in heart understanding what we're going through. And that's why you can take this message. Once again, it's on you to do it. And you got it out there last time. Blast it out to as many people as possible, because this is literally a defense plan for us as we go through this. Once again, and it's on you to get that message out. YouTube will definitely not do it. Even the last video that got out massively, it didn't do it. It was you. And I'm so thankful for that, because so many people now are getting the message and they're seeing what's happening. We're getting this information out. Thank goodness for the inside source, the sheriff. We're going to continue to talk to him. The video I did last time is here. You need to check that out if you didn't, because it links to this and it's highly important.
Yeah. We talked about the earthquakes that could occur from this eclipse. Let me go ahead and get the screen share off. There's a delay in my programming. Thank you very much, Miss Southern Belle, for the super chat. Burn, thank you. Hello, Paris Logan. Thank you, Geneva Cordoba. We need the information to get out. We need people to be aware that there's people out there that mean us harm. Let me see. I believe I have something else that I need to share. Just give me a moment. Let's hope we don't have no dead air. We'll play a little musical. Yeah. I don't know where my sound went. You don't want to participate. Like you said, there'll be people that don't want to participate, in what they want you to do. We may, the state's now putting out state of emergencies ahead of this solar eclipse. Do they know it's going to be earthquakes? Do they know there'll be a biological attack from our own government? You know, we don't have to worry about each other a whole lot. Your neighbors and all that. I mean, unless they're dangerous, I understand. We have to worry about our own government, y'all. Really? They don't have our best interests at heart, that's for sure. I mean, I really don't want to talk crazy talk, but wake up. They really don't care about you. They don't care about me. God loves you. You know, as Daryl Calhoun would say, call out to Jesus now, you know. I appreciate it, Daryl Calhoun. Yeah, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about before we leave the live stream, Felix the Cat. Everybody knows all this information, but I was like, man, I need to talk about it on my channel, you know? What's wrong with me talking about it? I don't have a lot of time to do all my great research, but I do the best I can. All right, let me get to this. Dave Messenger, thank you, my friend. What else? Calling out to Yeshua. Well, you're awesome, man. Thank you. Pray for the community here on YouTube. Pray for your neighbors and your pastor and your parents and your children, your grandchildren. Pray for our state of well-being, you know. I appreciate you, Mike Smith. Thank you, sir. I mean, possibilities are endless. We can speculate all day. Stats, thank you, my friend. Thank you. I don't do it for the money. I love and appreciate y'all. I do. Information is very important to get out there. And we talk about these Chinese balloons and things, you know, anything's possible. Y'all, I was noticing earlier, the water is more contaminated than it's ever been. Your city water, whatever. Water everywhere in the lakes and everywhere. But I didn't really want to talk about that. I'm just killing time. All right, let's get to this. Because this is going to be like another event that's going to occur during or after this eclipse that's coming to America. Billions. All right. Why did they do this? Let me take this off somehow. All right. Here. I'm not putting my email address in there. They've screwed me up this time. I can't get it off. I was going to talk about cicadas. They won't let me. Let me see if I can open it up in my... Yeah, the cicadas are coming out too. They're like 18-year cycle and a 13-year cycle. I don't know a whole lot about it, but let me go ahead and see what it says. Billions of cicadas are about to emerge, creating a once-in-a-lifetime spectacle. 2 large broods of cicadas, you know, bugs, pestilence, you know, whatever you want to call it. 2 large broods, and these are different types of cicadas. Why'd they do this to me? Why? Let me see if I can refresh it. Maybe it won't do it again. Two large broods of cicadas in the Midwest and southeastern U.S. are set to surface simultaneously, something that hasn't happened in over 200 years. That's wild, y'all. Sometime late this spring, under a cloak of darkness, a horde of bulbous-eyed insects will emerge from underground, where they've spent most of their lives feeding from the sap of tree roots. They will scurry up the first trees they can find, leaving behind their exoskeletons as they molt, shedding odd shells as they develop those trademark wings. Yeah, that's why they leave a shell, because they come out. Yeah, they trying to block it again. I believe I can make it do, though. Let me put one of my emails, and maybe they'll unblock that for me. Sorry about all this time, y'all. All right. Yeah, they can send me notifications, I guess. All right. Thank you for signing up. Take that out of the way. Here we go, y'all. Is everybody still here? Let me come over here to the chat and look real quick. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all really being here, because these, over 200 years of cicadas to come out at the same time. That's crazy. The males will soon begin to emit a buzzing noise, before the female bugs join them in a chorus of clicks, a symphony of mating sounds that will swell in a matter of days. This unique natural sympathy will serve as an unmissable signal that two broods of cicadas have emerged from the below ground for a rare, very rare, dually occurring return to the world above. The sound can be so loud. An entomologist and horticulture field specialist at the University of Missouri, the noise can reach 100 decibels, about the level of a jet engine. So you get these two different cicadas out at the same time. I've heard billions and I've heard trillions. But not only would it be the noise, you have to worry about the crops and, the corn coming up, your flowers, the trees, because these bugs are going to want to eat, Beginning anytime between late April to June, the two broods will emerge in 17 states, spanning the Southeast to the Midwest. It will be a bigger year than most. And this is this year, It's not going to happen time the eclipse. This is coming after the eclipse this year. It has been 221 years since these particular broods last emerged together. It was 1803, the last time this phenomenon occurred, when Thomas Jefferson was still in office. And according to Real, it won't take place again until 2245. Like another 200 years. That's crazy, y'all. It won't happen again for these two broods until one great-great-great-grandchildren will be around. That's if we live, Unlike, that's if we live as a population anyway, Unlike annual cicadas, the flying bugs we see pop up every summer, periodical cicadas only emerge in mass on a reoccurring 13. See, one species come out every 13 years, and the other species comes out 17 years from the ground. Most species tend to have black bodies, red eyes, and red-orange wing veins, a distinct coloring not found on larger or greener dog-day annual cicadas. Geography also sets these insects apart. Periodical cicadas can only be found in North America, while annual cicadas can be spotted worldwide. This year's dual event, meaning two different kinds, will feature brood X3, which is 8, I think, or 13. That's a 10, ain't it? The X is 10, and the 3 are, yes, there's that number 13, which emerges only every 17,000 years in the Midwest and includes sections of Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, and Wisconsin, and brood X1X. I'm not up on my Roman numerals, y'all. I think that's 19. Or it's crazy how they do that. You know, they put an X, and then the one before it, it'd be like 9 or something, you know, or have 4 lines or something like that, y'all. But anyway, yeah, these 2 types of bugs. The largest geographic distribution of all periodical cicada broods, brood X1X, emerges every 13 years, also in Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, as well in the southeast, in slivers of Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Mississippi, North Carolina, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and Maryland. Yeah, you go out here on the pine trees, and you see cicada shells. I grew up seeing them, you know. I really did, y'all. For those living in any of the states that may bear witness to the double broods, the first sign that the cicadas are coming will be holes popping up in lawns. So if you have holes in your lawn, you might want to look around. A lot of times these holes I see even in the sand have bees in the ground. So these may be a little strange or unusual that you're going to see cicadas coming out the ground through these holes. Around trees in the woods, as we start hitting some of these warmer temperatures, we're going to have nymphal cicadas emerging from those holes. They will be crawling up out of the ground in just absolutely stunning numbers, about a billions. I feel comfortable saying billions. You combine the 2 different cicadas with billions, probably will be trillions. But anyway, yeah, they will be crawling up from the ground in just absolutely stunning numbers. Adult cicadas typically only live for 4 to 6 weeks and will experience just an incredibly loud humming, buzzing noise from their singing before they mate and then die. Whether if it end up being billions or even trillions of cicadas emerging in totality is unclear. See, it's very unclear. Billions is close enough to trillions for me because I live in a farmland state and all that, you know. It could affect our food and stuff that they're planting, you know, in the garden. So be careful out there. You might want to take action if you're growing a garden and they're sprouting up. I don't know. Pour some vinegar all the way around your garden. Would that help? Plant marigolds. I've heard all kind of things, you know. Marigolds keep mosquitoes away or something. I don't really spray any type of insect killer on my garden because I don't want that in my plants or reaching my yield coming out the garden. I don't do that. I don't spray anything. If you're going to use anything, I use 7 Dust because it keeps the worms off my tomato plants and things like that. Just a recommendation. It's all up to you. Do what you want to do. The area of overlap is likely to be very, very narrow, maybe just a few miles. I think a lot of people think it's going to be cicada Armageddon, with twice as many added. This person who has studied the bugs for 50 years and created a citizen science app. You might want to look it up. Citizen science app that helps track their distribution. Yes, there's an app for that. Citizen science app. You might want to look it up. Are cicadas bad for the environment? I'm going to stop right here after I read this. When mass amounts of cicadas pour out of the ground all at once, there are inevitable ecological effects. Events like these cause major disruptions in the ecosystem. We call it a cascade, where you have this avalanche, this small change, and then builds and crashes through the ecosystem. Periodical cicadas are desirable food source for a medley of animals. So you may see birds from any and everywhere. Yeah, or any animals that eat bugs or cicadas. You know, there's a town in Ohio, a restaurant where they serve up cicadas and people eat like whenever they come out. You know, people eat them, y'all. Look, I'm not saying or endorsing eating any kind of bug, but they do. They fry them up in this restaurant. I'm not going to do it, y'all. No way, Jose, okay? A 2023 study led by Gertman Picking found that during mass broad events, insect-eating birds consume fewer leaf-eating caterpillars, which allows the caterpillars to feast more heavily on the leaves of oak saplings, a process that can temporarily damage the entire tree. Yeah, you don't want to be eating cicadas. I mean, if you have a bad bug problem, I don't see anything wrong with spraying around the house or spraying around the garden. I do buy a spray and I spray around the house, I spray around the garden, but I don't spray directly on my plants. You know, and it controls the bugs. How's everybody doing today? Good to have you, Scott Severini. Hello. Seven Dust and good music. You got that right, man. We talked about the April 8 eclipse. There's many possibilities. There could be earthquakes for weeks while it plays out. Who knows? It could be an immediate earthquake. And be prepared. There's cities and states, you know, they calling in all kind of National Guard. They calling in all kind of people, y'all. Be prepared. I wouldn't recommend getting right in the path where there's hundreds of thousands of people. I'm saying like there's a city of 1 million people that's going to be overwhelmed because people from the outside are coming in. It'll be 2 million people, you know, and traffic jams galore. My God. Fill your car up. They're giving all kind of warnings. Have food, you know, on hand for weeks. Clean water. Because this April 8 eclipse, it's just an eclipse. But everything else surrounding this eclipse, you know, we're told to watch the sun, the moon, the stars, and all that. Be prepared, y'all. I know you can't stop if you're in a landslide and it takes you out. Be prepared. Be ready. Who knows? Well, Super Dave, you're putting out fear porn. I'm not trying to. I wouldn't do that for a minute anymore, you know? But anything is possible. And we talked about these bioweapons that could be sprayed on people. They got them the opportunity. They have hundreds of thousands of people together. And as JWTV was saying, people will be passing out, having seizures. It'd be like the zombie deer disease and all this. It seems far-fetched, I know. But it seems to me, because I think outside the box quite a bit, that any of these scenarios are very possible. Sorry about the long live stream, y'all. It's been 1 hour and 50 minutes. Let me read a little bit of the chat. Does anybody, you're welcome to put it in the chat. You can even come up. Let me go ahead and put the link out there. I'll shut up and let you do the talking. If you have anything new, possible, anything you've heard, you might want to let the community know. You can come up. You can hide behind your avatar. You can do whatever you want to do. You can put it in the chat. What scenarios are possible? Do you believe even anything that I put up today could be very possible? And I spent a few minutes reading your chat. Thank you all for coming in. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for hitting the thumbs up. I don't get the crowd a lot of people get, but it's all good. I appreciate all of you that show up. Mike Smith, I appreciate you, sir. Full armor of God, Stacy. You're absolutely right, Dave. We should all be prepared. We've been going on, 4 or 5 years of waking up through all this. We should all be prepared by now. To those who will listen, you are absolutely, thank you. April 8 eclipse, 9/11, 3 days of darkness, maybe. Maybe just me. Well, Scott, maybe, maybe not. As I say, anything is possible, my friend. The Bible events. So you're trying to say, that I know when this is going to happen, or Jesus is going to return. Nobody knows any of that. Nobody knows any of that. When the seals will be open. People think they know that the white horse, the red horse, the black horse, the pale horse. Does anybody really, really know down to the dot any of these events? Just like with this April 8 eclipse, nobody really knows. There may not even be an earthquake. We don't know. Anything is possible. The timing of everything is crazy. To those who listen. John P. Adventures. Hello, my friend. Good to have you. I just didn't want to leave nobody out. I want to read, here's your opportunity of anything you think is possible, to put the link in if you want to come up and tell us. I mean, you have the time right now. Happy Vampire Day. Why'd you shave your head, Daryl Calhoun? Really? To stay cool? What's going on, man? Did you lose a bet? I watch all of you. I know that Jesus knows. Jesus knows everything, my friend. Except when he's even coming back, right? Only God knows. I would put something else out there, but not everybody's agree with me, y'all. There's no need to do that right now. Nobody knows the day or the hour, but we can know that we are in the season. We're definitely in the season. I agree. It took me a lot to believe and say that we're in the last days.
unsung hero. So I'll sing this song for you. Woke up, I was 21, and I fell in love. Remember how I told you that I'd search the...
Okay, to those who will listen, in the Bible, it even says that not even Jesus knows the day or the hour. Listen, who made up this word Trinity? Who made it up? Is it in the Bible? I never could find the word Trinity. And man wants to say Jesus is God. So with that statement that you just said, that Jesus don't know the hour, the date, the time, then there's obviously the Father above even Jesus. So how could Jesus be God if he was hanging on that tree and he looked up and he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do? How could he be talking to himself? It's something I can't or seem to have been able to comprehend yet. If Jesus is God, I feel like, it's like I know that the Creator is in a class by himself.
Reminds me of you. Strong like your father, even when you were scared. When I was in trouble, you never left me there. And you love like your mother, like there's nothing to lose. You're an unsung hero, so I'll sing this song.
Rebecca, don't get me wrong. I know there's a Creator. I know there's the Son, Jesus Christ. And I know there's a Holy Spirit. I've felt the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit dwells within all of us. Comprehending that Jesus is God is something that God has to show you in order for you to know it and believe it. If God has shown many people, that is wonderful. But I do know it's something that they want to push on you to make you believe. I believe God has brought me out of situations. So it has nothing to do with not believing, because I believe. And I believe very deeply. I know where I've been. I know where I'm going. I know the situations. I know the danger. I know the fire that I've come through. So I don't say anything to offend anyone. My own experience, and we all have different experiences. I'm not going to experience what you experience. You're not going to experience what I experience. Your children, your grandchildren, all of us, each individual has a perception of things. I'm going to leave it at that. And I love this song, y'all. God bless you all.
times I fell down, you showed me how to stand. And when we crossed the ocean, you're my safe place to land. Been on 1,000 stages, when it's all said and done, I hope I make you proud of the man that I've become. To be strong like my father, even when I'm scared. And when someone's in trouble, I'll never leave them there. And I love like my mother, like there's nothing to lose. You're my unsung hero, and I'll sing this song for you.
That's a beautiful song, y'all. Does anybody want to hear another song?
Beautiful women support Donald Trump.
Before I leave, a Christian song, y'all. Hey, let's sing a song. What is that song? Yeah, I love this song, y'all. It's been a long time. I wanted to talk about the eclipse, and I did. Killing time. I got to go here in a minute. Sorry about killing the time. I'm just so tired and exhausted. I've worked a lot. I want to quit my job, but I can't. For real. Sounds crazy. If I win that lottery, y'all, which is far-fetched, I know. What is it? 1 in 800 million? It's crazy, y'all. All right, I'm almost done. I said yes. Because I love this song, y'all, from the past. Let's see if I can find it, though. I remember one time they took it down. This might be it, but it ain't. I could sing it at the same time. How about that? Yeah, they took down my song, y'all. Because I still believe, you know? Who's still here? Freedom? Yeah, I got to get some back to work. But thank you for coming in. Because I do. I still believe. I believe, y'all. Do you still believe? Where's it at? I'm almost done, y'all. I'm almost done. I could end it right now. I just figured I'd hang out. I'd read a little bit of your comments. Hope you win, Super Day. Well, thank you, Mike Smith. Joy rescued me from the path of the eclipse. We'll get a partial eclipse here in South Carolina. In 2017, I was out in the field watching the eclipse. It got dark. I wasn't big on YouTube like I love YouTube now. I do, but there's certain things that kind of kill me out about YouTube, you know, like working. When I don't have time and all that, I lose interest. And I try not to lose interest, but the things I have to do, like work, allows me or makes me lose interest. Nothing against nobody. Let me see. Cut that down a little bit. Because I still believe. Yeah. All right, cut that down a little bit. I know everybody's not going to still be here. Hey, but I still believe. Cut it down. Yeah, that's a little bit better, isn't it? If I could just find Jeremy Camp, I still believe in your faithfulness.
Scattered words and empty thoughts seem to pour from my heart. I've never felt so torn before. It seems I don't know where to start. But it's now that
I feel your grace fall like rain from every fingertip, washing away my pain. Yes, I do. 'Cause I still believe in your faithfulness. 'Cause I still believe in your truth. Yes, I do. 'Cause I still believe in your holy word. Yes, I do. 'Cause even when I don't see, I still believe. No questions flood up my mind. The promises I still seem to bear. 'Cause even when answers slowly unwind, it's my heart I see you prepare. But it's now that I feel your grace fall like rain. Yeah. From every fingertip, washing away my pain. Yes, I do. 'Cause I still believe in your faithfulness. 'Cause I still believe in your truth. Yes, I do. Jesus. 'Cause I still believe in your holy word. Yes, I do. 'Cause even when I don't see, I still believe. The only place I can go is into your arms, where I've known you, my faithful friends. But in brokenness, I can say this was your will for me. Help me to know that you are near. Yes, that's right. He'll show you. He's still here. 'Cause I still believe in your faithfulness. Yes, I do. 'Cause I still believe in your truth. 'Cause I still believe I do. In your holy word. Even when I can't see, I still believe. I still believe. Thank you. I hope you still believe. Do not get tore and wore down. Do not get to where you don't believe. A lot of us still need to be reminded. I have to be reminded. God shows me things, you know. It'd be like, man, I'm still here. You still need to believe. Don't go away thinking that I'm not here for you. He is, y'all. Even every now and then, Super Dave loses his way, y'all. I'm only human. I just hope it when it's my time, that right at the exact moment, that I haven't lost any hope, that I'm still waiting, that I still believe, that I'm caught in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Because it says people will be drinking and be partying and marrying and all these things, you know, doing what the world does. You don't want to get caught up like that. Look at the stars. Look how they shine for you. And all the things you do. Thank you all for the super chats and all that. In case you didn't see, I got these beautiful mugs in, but they didn't put my dang color in there like I did these mugs here. I don't get it. I ordered tea kettle mugs. They didn't put the color in. And I ordered these last mugs. Y'all let me know. If you want me to give these away, I will. If you don't, I got a whole case of them. I won't give them away. They're nice and beautiful. The only way you can win one of these mugs over here is become a member to my channel. I might have a spontaneous drawing or, maybe a trivia or something. And we'll have an instant winner, one of these days, y'all. Look how the stars, look how they shine for you in all the things you do. Thank you. Y'all have a wonderful and grand day because y'all are wonderful and grand people. Look at the stars. Look how they shine for you in all the things you do.